Kasi isang set of earphones ang gamit ko ngayon. So baka lang hindi mapakinggan ng malinaw yung boses ko. So Miss Jessa, yung hinihingi kong attendance last time, wala pa rin ako nare-receive. And please take note of the attendees as of 4:05 p.m. So meron lang 17 dito, including myself. And you take note of the following students na umattend ngayong araw sa discussion ng evaporators. Klaro ba yun, Jessa? Jessa?
Yes po, sir.
Sige, pa-take note ako nga. Okay. And again, pagka po malabo ang aking boses, just let me know through the chat, to our chat box here, or in call messages para naman malaman ko kung napapakinggan pa ba ang boses ko or hindi na. So to start our discussion about evaporators, again, this is one of the common unit operations na ginagamit sa mga manufacturing industries. That's why we need to have an in-depth discussion of how an evaporator works, as well as the different properties involved when we are computing or calculating for the heat transfer, the heat transfer area na kailangan for evaporators and such. So to show you what is an evaporator, ganyan po yung itsura ng evaporator natin sa manufacturing industries, though sometimes mas malalaki pa dyan yung size ng evaporators yung meron tayo dito. So basically from the name itself, evaporator, ang process na meron tayo dito is evaporation, which is, ang ginagawa dito is nire-remove natin yung water content na meron sa ating feed to make a more concentrated solution. So to give you a formal definition of what evaporation is, in evaporation, the vapor from a boiling liquid solution is removed and the more concentrated solution remains. So what happens here is that from a lower concentration na feed, nakakapag-produce tayo ng more concentrated na solution after the evaporation process takes place. And in the majority of cases, the unit operation evaporation refers to the removal of water from an aqueous solution. So yun po yung basic concept na meron po tayo when we are talking about evaporation. Now, some of the applications of evaporation is listed here in this slide. So meron tayo dito concentration ng solution ng sugar, sodium chloride, sodium hydroxide, glycerol, glue, milk, and orange juice. So if meron sa inyong taga-Nasugbu or bandang Balian, Nasugbu na yun. Kung alam niyo, meron tayo itong sugar industry, which is yung sa CADP, yung Central Azucarera de Don Pedro. So one of the major unit operations na ginagamit doon is itong evaporator, in which they produce yung baka nga yung asukal na kinoconsume natin is galing dun sa industry, galing dun sa manufacturing industry na yun. So aside from sugar, meron din niya mga nakalista yan. Yan yung mga possible na maging product ng evaporators natin. Now, in these cases, the concentrated solution is the desired product and the evaporated water is normally discarded. Now, in a few cases where ang water natin ay gagamitin pa natin sa mga susunod na process, yung water na nakuha natin dito sa evaporator via steam or via yung vapor na lalabas dun sa taas na part ng ating evaporator, ginagamit or nag-undergo pa siya ulit ng panibagong evaporation na process to further remove the solid particles na na-dissolve doon sa water natin. And then yung water na nag-undergo ng panibagong evaporation is magagamit pa natin as feed naman sa boiler or for other special chemical processes to produce electricity. So, marami pang pwedeng puntahan yung mga byproducts ng evaporator natin if we are considering or if we are designing an evaporator kapag ka nagpunta na kayo sa plant design. Yun yung ano. Now, in some cases naman, evaporation, once na nakapag-produce ito ng concentrated na solution, upon cooling, ito ay makakapag-produce ng crystals na sineseparate natin. Now, another application or another continuation of the evaporation process is yung tinatawag naman natin na crystallization, which is a special evaporation process. So, yun yung sunod na unit operations. Unit operation na i-discuss natin after itong evaporation. Now, moving on, there are some processing factors when we are studying evaporators na kailangan natin consider if you wanted to compute or find the total area needed or whether kung anong klaseng evaporator, anong type ng evaporator yung kailangan nating gamitin is once again nakabase dito sa mga physical and chemical properties na meron ang solution natin. So ano ba yung mga properties na yun na nakaka-apekto sa processing methods under evaporation? Una na nga dito is yung tinatawag natin na concentration ng liquid natin. So when we say concentration, that is the amount of solute present in a given amount of solvent. So kapag ka nag-undergo ng process ng evaporation, kadalasan ang liquid feed natin, kung sinabing liquid feed, yun yung pinapasok natin sa evaporator natin, liquid feed nga, and ito yung nag-undergo ng evaporation. Itong liquid feed na ito, kadalasan ito ay relatively dilute or dilute yung tawag natin doon sa mga liquid feed na yon. Kapag dilute siya, ibig sabihin mas mataas yung amount ng water, kaya magsasabi natin yung viscosity nito ay mababa. And since mababa ang viscosity nito, which is similar to water, mataas ang ating heat transfer coefficient. So isipin niyo para lang siyang tubig na may halong other chemicals. And as evaporation proceeds, the solution may become very concentrated and quite viscous. So once na nag-undergo na ng evaporation yung ating liquid feed from a dilute solution, makakaproduce tayo ng concentrated solution in which yung property, yung viscosity ng ating solution ngayon is mas mataas na as compared to its initial state and causing the heat transfer coefficient to decrease in value. So dahil nga mas malapot na siya, mas mahirap nang makapag-transfer ng mas mahirap na makapag-transfer ng heat doon sa ating concentrated solution. So ang ginagawa, kinakailangan ng adequate circulation or turbulence doon sa loob ng evaporator natin para yung coefficient natin or yung heat transfer coefficient natin is hindi ganun sobrang bumaba. So yun yung unang property na kailangan nating isipin pagdating sa evaporator, yung concentration ng liquid natin. Pangalawa naman is solubility. Kapag sinabi natin naman solubility, this is the amount of solute dissolved in a given amount of solvent, or for every 100 grams of solvent, kadalasan ay water, ano ang basihan natin ng solubility? So sabi dito, solubility of salts increases with temperature. Siguro naman ay na-discuss na rin naman sa inyong hapyaw itong property ng solubility na tinatawag. And kapag taas ng temperature natin, pagtaas din ng solubility na meron ang ating mga salts or yung mga gusto nating i-concentrate na mga solution. So, isipin niyo siya parang yung basic na example ng para makita ninyo yung ma-observe ninyo yung property ng solubility. Diba, pagka room temperature na water ang gagamitin ninyo para magtimpla ng kape, hindi agad magdi-dissolve yung kape natin doon sa solvent natin na water kasi mababa ang kanyang temperature. But if we increase the temperature of our solvent, mas madami pong amount ng kape yung magdi-dissolve. So basically, that is yung property ng solubility natin. Now, moving on, crystallization may occur when hot concentrated solution from an evaporator is cooled to room temperature. Now, itong crystallization process natin, yung next unit operation na i-discuss ko, is or has something to do with this crystallization, or it has something to do with this property natin, solubility. That's why na-mention dito na when a concentrated solution cools down, makaka-form ito ng crystal afterwards. So mahalagang mapansin din natin or malaman din natin yung property na solubility na meron ng concentrated solution natin para maiwasan natin yung pag-crystallize ng product natin if hindi naman natin kailangan ng isang crystal na product. Now next is temperature sensitivity of materials. This is also another factor na kailangan natin i-watch out when we are evaporating solutions. Now, many products, especially food and other biological materials, may be temperature sensitive and they might degrade at higher temperatures or after prolonged heating. That's why we also have to study kung ano ba yung gusto natin i-concentrate na solution. Ano yung nilalaman na compound or element or pagkain ba siya. Kasi nga, may mga products tayo na nagde-degrade at higher temperatures at sensitive sila sa pabago-bagong temperature changes. Now, for example, yung mga pharmaceutical products natin, isa yan sa mga wina-watch out natin during evaporators kasi baka mamaya ang kalabasan na concentrated product natin is damaged na pala or hindi na siya yung pasok sa standard na kailangan natin. Another thing is yung food products natin such as milk or orange juice and other vegetable extracts. So tatandaan ninyo na ang amount ng degradation na meron sa ating food and other biological materials ay function ng temperature at ng length of time. Though hindi naman though pag nagpunta tayo sa calculations na part, itong temperature sensitivity of materials is hindi natin ina-account. But in real life situations, we have to account those. Itong mga food and other biological materials ang ating feed. Next naman is yung tinatawag natin na foaming or frothing. So itong foaming or frothing yung tinatawag, ito'y nangyayari kapag yung mga pagkain natin such as skim milk and some fatty acid solutions ay kapag nagbo-boil ay nagpo-form siya ng foaming or frothing na tinatawag. Siguro, nakapagluto na ba kayo ng sinigang? Siguro, or kahit kanin na lang. Di ba napapansin ninyo nagpo-foam yun dun sa taas kapag either kapag sobrang taas ng niluto ninyong kanin, and then yung tubig ninyo is sobra or umaawas, di ba? So yun yung tinatawag natin na foaming or frothing na sometimes wina-watch out din natin if may ganung property yung ating feed. Kasi it might affect the equipment na gagamitin natin. Now, moving on, itong pressure and temperature, these two are the most important factors na kailangan nating i-watch out when we are calculating and when we are considering the design for evaporators. Kasi itong pressure and temperature conditions ng ating evaporation process, ito yung magde-determine kung gaano kalaking area, kung anong klaseng evaporator yung ating gagamitin sa isang evaporation process. So one thing that you need to know is that the higher the operating pressure, the higher the temperature at boiling. Kasi ang tatandaan ninyo guys is pag evaporation, laging may kaakibat na boiling point temperature. That's why may makikita kayo dito na boiling point rise. Diba? Kung maalala ninyo yung discussion ninyo pagdating sa colligative properties of solution, diba? One of the colligative properties natin is the boiling point elevation. So kailangan natin i-consider ano ba yung magiging bagong boiling point ng solution natin kasi hindi naman palaging 100 degrees Celsius ang boiling natin kasi may mga solution tayo na nagbo-boil greater than 100 degrees Celsius because of the components of our solution. Baka lang nare-recall ninyo yun, yung colligative properties of solution natin. Now, one thing that we need to also understand is that para hindi natin masira yung mga materials na heat sensitive, kinakailangan nating mag-operate under 1 atmosphere pressure or under vacuum pressure inside the evaporators natin. Tatandaan niyo yun ha. Para hindi masira kagad yung sensitive materials, kinakailangan ng pressure natin sa loob is either 1 atmosphere or less than 1 atmosphere. And number 6 naman, na factor na kailangan nating malaman and matandaan is that some solutions deposit solid materials called scale on the heating surfaces. So think of it as fouling. Kung maalala ninyo ang ating heat exchanger, di ba? One thing na nakakapag-reduce ng heat transfer rate natin is the fouling coefficients or the fouling factor na meron sa ating heat exchanger. So dito rin sa evaporator, may mga solution tayo na nagde-deposit ng solid materials doon sa walls ng evaporator natin. At ang tawag natin doon sa solid material na yun ay scale na nakakapag-reduce sa heat transfer rate natin. So sabi dito, this results to the decrease of the overall heat transfer coefficients and the evaporator must be clean. So because of scale deposition, nagkakaroon din ng downtime ng mga manufacturing industries dahil may mga scale na nade-deposit sa loob ng evaporators natin na kailangan malinis para yung heat transfer natin, yung calculations natin for heat transfer is hindi maging error yung calculations natin kapag nag-undergo tayo ng evaporation process. Now, moving on with the general types of evaporators. Now, in evaporation kasi, what happens there is that heat is added to a solution para ma-vaporize natin yung solvent. Kadalasan yung solvent naman natin dito is si water. Na itong heat na ito is nanggagaling sa tinatawag natin na steam on one side ng ating evaporator, while dun sa isang side naman is yung evaporating liquid natin. So think of it as parang may heat exchanger dun sa loob. Dun sa loob ng tubes ng evaporator natin, may dumadaan na steam. Na itong steam na ito yung nagpapainit sa ating evaporating liquid. nandun naman sa kabilang side ng evaporator natin. Na yung type ng equipment na gagamitin natin for evaporators ay nakadepende primarily on the configuration of the heat transfer surface and at the same time doon sa mechanism na ina-apply natin for agitation or circulation ng liquid natin. Now dito sa presentation, may makikita kayong 8 general types ng evaporators natin. So hindi ko na naman masyadong pakaka-detailin kung ano ba ang ibig sabihin or para saan ba itong 8 evaporators na ito. You can confide with your peris. Kasi makikita nyo rin naman itong mga ito sa peris ninyo kung para saan ba sila at ano ba ang purpose nila. But just so you know, isa lang naman ang kanilang concept. Is to evaporate and to concentrate dilute solutions to produce a much more concentrated solution while removing the solvent content or the water content present on our feed. So to show you some of the schematic diagrams or visual representations of our evaporators, you can see here, meron tayong horizontal tube type in which makikita niyo sa horizontal tube type is that ito yung dinadaanan ng ating steam. Ito naman sa kabila ay vertical tube type. So makikita niyo dyan kung paano ba ang flow din ng feed natin as well as ng steam natin. Next naman ay long tube vertical type. And then forced circulation type. Itong forced circulation type, mapapansin niyo may pump na nakalagay dito sa bottom na part ng ating evaporator. So itong pump na ito yung nag-circulate ng ating feed dun sa loob ng evaporator natin para mapataas natin yung heat transfer coefficient na meron yung ating liquid. So ito kasi unang 3 type ng evaporator is walang pump na ginagamit, so they rely more on gravity as well as yung inlet velocity na meron ng yung ating liquid para mahalo siya. So methods of operation of evaporators. Now, itong methods of operation of evaporators natin pertains to how these evaporators are used inside the manufacturing industries natin. Una na nga dito is yung pinakasimple na single effect evaporator in which parang stand-alone evaporator lamang siya. May pumapasok na feed, may pumapasok na taga-init ng feed, may lalabas na vapor sa taas at may lalabas na steam condensate at may lalabas na concentrated liquid natin. Na ito namang forward feed multiple effect evaporators, so itong backward feed multiple effect evaporators. This pertains to many evaporators in series. Kung yung una ay isa lang na standalone, itong second and third, ito ay maraming evaporators in series. Ano po? Ang pinakaiba lang nila is paano ba natin ipapasok yung feed? Siya ba ay in the same direction of the steam or in opposite direction of the steam? So kaya meron tayo ditong forward feed at saka backward feed na multiple effect evaporators. To discuss single effect evaporator, which is ito rin yung focus ng discussion or ng calculations natin, kasi yung multiple effect evaporator is sobrang haba and sa patingin ko kulang 2 oras o 1 oras para mag-solve ng problem na yun. Though, if may time tayo in the next few weeks, I will be discussing kung paano mag-solve nitong multiple effect evaporator. But for now, and tomorrow, ang focus ng computation natin is single effect evaporators. Now, anong meron dito sa single effect evaporator natin. Dito sa single effect evaporator natin, these are often used when the required capacity of operation is relatively small and or the cost of steam is relatively cheap compared to the evaporator cost. Now, itong single effect evaporator is hindi naman kadalasan ginagamit sa mga manufacturing industries. Though may ilan pa rin makikita siguro kayo na gumagamit itong single effect, hindi kasi siya efficient na gamitan kung nag-iisa lang siya at standalone lamang siya. Nakalagay dito, wasteful of energy since the latent heat of the vapor leaving is not used but is discarded. So what happens here is that yung vapor na na-collect natin on top of our evaporator is nire-release lang natin or dinidiscard lang natin as waste, in which yung vapor na yun is pwede pa natin siyang or meron pa tayong pwede paggamitan para siguro iinit yung mga susunod na equipment o kaya naman ay feed sa boiler natin to produce electricity. Yan. So, pag single effect evaporator, nasasayang lang yung vapor na meron tayo. So here naman is how you draw a evaporator if pag nagpa-problem solving tayo, mas magandang i-drawing din yung ganitong itsura ng evaporator natin para para makita ninyo at malaman ninyo ano ba yung mga properties na kailangan nating kunin, masolve at hanapin. So mamaya makikita ninyo yung sinasabi ko. So in this diagram, makikita nyo naman dyan, yung feed natin, enters at a temperature T sub F, as you can see naman dyan sa diagram, and meron tayo dyan saturated steam at T sub S, which enters the heat exchange section. So basically, may dalawa tayong input sa evaporator natin. Okay? One is the feed, one is the saturated steam. After the steam enters the evaporator, syempre, itong saturated steam na ito ay magko-condense para makapag-produce ng liquid na lalabas doon sa kabilang side ng evaporator natin. Ang tawag natin dito ay condensate. Itong condensate na ito, same lamang yung temperature ng sa saturated steam natin. But, hindi na siya saturated steam. Siya ay condensed. Condensed liquid na siya. Now, since the solution in the evaporator ay ina-assume natin na completely mixed. Completely mixed. Yung concentrated product natin sa baba, itong concentrated product sa bottom na part, has the same temperature with the boiling point of our solution. Now, itong T sub 1 na makikita ninyo sa loob ng evaporator natin, at itong T sub 1 na nasa concentrated product natin, sila ay equal lang sa isa't isa. Na itong T sub 1 na ito, tatandaan ninyo, this is the boiling point of our solution. Okay? Siyempre, pag sometimes sa problem, may mga problem na ina-assume natin na same properties lang with water, yung ating boiling point. Same lang sa properties ng water natin yung ating solution. That's why sometimes we assume na ang boiling point natin ay 100 degrees Celsius. But meron tayong instances or yung most cases na meron tayo sa evaporation natin, hindi palagi ihahalin tulad natin sa water na properties yung boiling point natin. Now next is yung sa vapor natin. So aside from condensate and concentrated product, one thing din na lumalabas is yung tinatawag natin na vapor. Sa taas naman siya lumalabas. Na ang vapor natin also has the same temperature with our boiling solution. Now, itong P sub 1 naman na makikita ninyo dito sa loob, this is the vapor pressure of the solution at the boiling point of our solution. Again, itong pressure na ito ay nakocompute or mahanap natin given na meron tayong boiling point ng ating solution or vice versa. If ang given natin ay pressure sa loob, pwede nating makuha ang boiling point ng solution natin. Magbe-base lamang tayo sa mga tables na gagamitin natin later on. Now, the formula to compute for the heat transfer rate sa ating evaporators is just the same with what we've used in the heat exchanger part ng ating discussion. So, meron tayo dito Q is equals to UA delta T. Again, si Q ay si heat transfer rate in watts. U is the overall heat transfer coefficient in watts per meter square Kelvin. A is the heat transfer area. And itong delta T natin is composed of T sub S and T sub 1. Si T sub S, this is the temperature of the condensing steam or yung temperature ng steam natin. And si T sub 1 naman is the boiling point of the liquid. So, basically, hindi na bago sa inyo itong formula na gagamitin natin for evaporator. But syempre, there are other formulas pa na gagamitin natin para makuha yung ilang mga properties, yung ilang mga variables dito sa equation na ito. Ano? So let's proceed naman with the next method of operation, which is the forward feed multiple effect evaporator. Now, kapag ka sinabi natin forward feed multiple effect evaporator, syempre marami yung evaporator. So we can call that as effect 1, effect 2, effect 3. That pertains to the different evaporators natin. So syempre, pag sinabi natin sa first effect, yun ay sa unang evaporator natin in series. So sabi dito, kaya siya tinawag na forward feed is because the fresh feed is added to the first effect and flows to the next in the same direction as the vapor flow. So, para makita ninyo, before ko basahin itong pangalawang bullet, tingnan nyo muna kung ano ba yung itsura ng forward feed na multiple effect evaporator. As you can see, yung feed natin is pumapasok dito sa first effect. Yung feed natin pumapasok dito, lalabas dito sa baba as the concentrate from first effect, and siya yung papasok as the feed papunta dun sa ating second effect. Na yung vapor naman natin, siya yung magsaserve as the heating medium na meron tayo dito sa ating second effect. Kaya may pupuntahan yung vapor natin pagdating sa multiple effect evaporator. Unlike dun sa single effect na i-discard lang natin yung vapor after using it. So going back, this operation is used when the feed is hot or when the final concentrated product might be damaged at high temperatures. So ginagamit natin itong forward feed multiple effect evaporator if ang ipapasok natin na feed doon sa first effect is mataas ang temperature. Kasi para malesen natin yung heat loss na meron sa ating heat transfer. Kaya doon sa first effect, mainit na kaagad na feed yung isinasalang para yung heat loss natin is hindi very large as compared to pag malamig na feed ang pinasok natin sa unang evaporator. Kasi kapag malamig na feed ang pinasok natin doon sa unang evaporator, kinakailangan pa niya ng certain amount of heat para siya tumaas at mag-boil. Whereas kapag mataas na agad yung temperature niya and yung steam na papasok, syempre, mainit na kaagad yun. So ultimately, konting oras lang yung kinakailangan para makapag-boil yung first feed natin. And as it moves doon sa ating multiple effect evaporator, yung temperature natin, yung boiling point temperature sa loob ay tawag dyan, bumababa. Or rather, yung temperature pala na gagamitin natin is bumababa. Ano po? Kasi, syempre, nag-start ka from mataas. You don't expect naman na tataas din yan dito sa sunod na effect. Ano? Syempre, bababa yan after some time has passed. So yan, nakalagay naman dito. Ano? The boiling temperature decreases from effect to effect. This means that the pressure wherein dun sa unang effect natin ay 1 atmosphere or yung absolute pressure natin. And sa last effect naman will be under vacuum at a pressure of P3 or P sub 3. So pababa naman yung pressure natin as we proceed from one effect to another. So going back lamang ha, tingnan ninyo itong multiple effect evaporator natin. So from the feed, papasok yan, may steam na papasok. Yung steam lalabas sa kabila as condensate. Yung feed, upon concentrating, siya yung papasok sa sunod na effect. Siya yung magsaserve as our feed. Yung vapor na lumabas sa first effect ay gagamitin natin as our heating medium dito sa second effect. And then ganun lang ulit yung mangyayari papuntang third effect. Ano? Yung vapor na lalabas sa taas, gagamitin natin. Yung vapor na lalabas sa second effect, gagamitin natin as the heating medium for our third effect. At yung concentrate from the second effect, yun ang gagamitin nating feed pupunta sa third effect para mas makapag-produce tayo ng mas mataas na concentration ng product natin. So once again, ginagamit itong evaporator para mapataas yung concentration ng product na gusto natin. Now, for the third method of operation naman, we have the backward feed multiple effect evaporator. Now dito, the fresh feed enters the last and coldest effect and continues on until the concentrated product leaves the first effect. Now this method of reverse feed is advantageous when the fresh feed is cold, since a smaller amount of liquid must be heated to the higher temperatures in the second and first effect. So yung kanina, sa first effect natin, mainit na dapat yung papasok sa feed natin sa first effect. Ito naman, cold feed yung pinapakain natin sa evaporator. Na lamang, instead of the first effect, dun sa third effect natin ilalagay yung feed natin. So take a look at this diagram. Yan. So mapapansin niyo na dito sa third effect yung feed natin, papasok yan sa evaporator, bababay lalabas yan as concentrate. And then as you can see here, may symbol tayo dito ng pump. Kasi ang nangyayari dyan, after processing from the third effect, ipinapump siya papunta dun sa second effect natin kasi mas mataas ang viscosity na ng ating concentrate. Kaya may pump po tayo dito sa backward feed multiple effect evaporator. Now the essence is the same with our forward feed multiple effect evaporator, in which makakapag-produce tayo ng concentrated product after a series of evaporators na lamang cold feed siya. Tatandaan, cold feed, and at the same time we use pumps to transfer the evaporating liquid from one effect to another. Yeah, so liquid pumps are used in each effect since the flow is from low to high pressure. And this operation is used when the concentrated product is highly viscous. So yun po yung reasons kung bakit natin ginagamit itong backward feed na multiple effect evaporator. So yun po yung tatlong methods ng operation ng ating evaporators. Again, the single effect, the forward feed multiple effect evaporator, and the backward feed multiple effect evaporator. Now, for the calculation methods for single effect evaporator, there are a lot of things that we have to find. There are a lot of things that we have to consider when computing. For the heat transfer, the area, or the boiling point of our solution. So unahin muna natin ang feed. Ano ba yung mga kinakailangan natin malaman sa feed natin? Una is the symbol F. The capital symbol F stands for the feed or the mass flow rate ng feed natin in kilograms per hour. Next is X sub F, which is the mass fraction of solids present in our feed. So think of it as the amount of solute present in our solvent. Now, T sub F naman is the temperature of the feed in Kelvin, and H sub F is the enthalpy of the feed in joules per kilogram. Now, itong enthalpy of the feed, nakadepende yan sa kung ano yung solute na present doon sa ating feed. Sometimes kasi ina-assume natin na same properties lang with water yung ating feed. Kaya ginagamit natin dito na formula to get the enthalpy of the feed is simply CPF times the change in temperature, which is ang ginagamit natin for CP is, or the specific heat capacity, is that of water, which is 4.184. Pero may mga instances, guys, na itong enthalpy of the feed natin is kinukuha natin from other sources or from charts na makikita natin sa Paris, which I will show you an example later on. So itong feed, itong F, madali itong makuha. Itong XF, kadalasan given yan. Itong TF, kadalasan given yan. Itong si HF, ang medyo problema natin. Ano? So magkakaalaman tayo pagka nag-problem solving na tayo tomorrow. Now, let's proceed naman with the liquid. Now, pagka sinabi natin liquid, this is the concentrated solution na lalabas sa evaporator natin. So for our concentrated solution, for our concentrated liquid, we have here the symbol L, which stands for the mass flow rate of our concentrated liquid. X sub L naman is the mass fraction of solids, or the amount of the concentrated solute present in our concentrated liquid. T sub 1 is the temperature of the liquid in Kelvin. Sabi ko nga, itong si T sub 1, this is the boiling point temperature of our solution. Another thing na kailangan nating mahanap dito is si small letter H sub L, which is the enthalpy of our liquid. Na kagaya di feed, itong H sub L natin is kadalasan ay nakadepende rin sa water or di kaya naman nakadepende sa chart na ipapakita ko sa inyo maya-maya. So tatandaan yan ha. Halos si feed at saka si liquid ang halos na medyo same yung kinakailangan nating alamin ng mga property. Now, next naman is our vapor, which lives doon sa taas na part ng evaporator natin. Itong vapor natin also has the symbol V, which stands for the mass flow rate of our vapor leaving as pure solvent. So itong V na ito, yung vapor natin na ito, is kadalasan kinoconsider natin siya as water. Ano po? And yun. Ang kanyang temperature, si T sub 1, this is the temperature of the vapor, which is the same with the boiling point temperature inside our evaporator. Now, itong si H sub V, this is the enthalpy of the vapor naman at T sub 1. Since our vapor is water, para mahanap natin si enthalpy ng vapor, kinakailangan natin ang boiling point temperature natin. So gagamit tayo ng tinatawag natin na steam table. Siguro naman ay na-encounter at nagamit nyo na si steam table, right? And Yun. So, kagaya ng ginagawa natin sa kay air, hinahanap natin yung properties ng vapor natin. Now, moving on, ano pa ba? Meron na tayong feed, meron na tayong liquid, may vapor na tayo. Yung sa steam naman, ang pag-usapan natin, yung steam side ng ating evaporator. So pagka sinabi nating steam, meron tayong papasok na saturated steam at may lalabas tayo ng condensed steam or yung condensed liquid natin. For saturated steam, we have capital letter S as the mass flow rate of our steam entering. T sub S naman is the temperature of the steam in Kelvin, kadalasan given din. Itong H sub S naman, this is the enthalpy of the saturated steam at T sub S yan, sorry, at T sub S. So capital letter H yan, mapapansin niyo kasi magkaiba pa ang H sub S na capital at small letter H sub S. Ano? Itong isa is for saturated steam, ito naman is for saturated liquid. Na kung alam niyo sa steam table natin, may section tayo doon na part for liquid, part liquid, part vapor, or part steam. So, ituturo ko din yun sa inyo pag nag-solve tayo ng evaporator problems. Ano? So, ito namang saturated steam at condensed steam, hindi rin naman nagkakalayo ang properties na kailangan nating malaman. Nga lamang, ay sa pagkuha ng enthalpy ng steam natin, doon lang tayo medyo magkakatalo. Though same yung temperature na kina-consider natin, iba yung titingnan natin sa steam table. Ano? Na itong limang to, ito yung mga mahalagang data na kailangan nating malaman. Yan. So makikita nyo dito sa ating diagram na ito kung ano yung summary na kailangan nating hanapin, alamin, i-compute na mga properties ng feed, steam, condensate, vapor, and concentrated liquid. Ano? So kung mapapansin nyo dito kay vapor, meron tayong Y sub V. Ito kasing Y sub V na ito nasa taas na to. Ayun na may kadalasan ay 0 kasi wala naman tayong solid solute na amount present sa vapor kasi nga pure solvent lang siya na i-consider. So itong si Y sub V ay 0 lamang po yan. Wala lang po yan kumbaga. Kasi kaya ko yun sinabi kasi mahalaga yung susunod na part kasi magbabalance tayo dito. Kung na-encounter nyo na or feel ko naman na-encounter nyo na si material balance, right? So magma-material balance din po tayo dito kay evaporator para malaman natin yung iba't ibang values itong iba't ibang property na kailangan natin for evaporator. Yan. So makikita nyo dito sa sunod na part ng ating discussion is some of the different formulas na kailangan nating malaman or paano natin makukuha yung iba't ibang yun. Una is overall material balance. Kailangan nating mahanap yung amount ng liquid at amount ng vapor na meron tayo para makapag-push through tayo doon sa heat balance na tinatawag. So, syempre, ang overall material balance naman natin, kung titingnan natin itong evaporator natin, itong steam kasi, i-consider natin siya as an independent entity na hindi kalahok ng ating feed kasi hindi naman sila nagmi-mix sa loob. Itong steam, papasok yan, lalabas lang din yan as condensate. Kung ano yung pumasok na steam na amount, yun namin po yung amount na lalabas as condensate. Sometimes, yun yung hinahanap din natin, yung amount ng steam na kinakailang, which is another topic na yun, another problem solving. Na syempre, after overall material balance, para makuha natin yung amount ng liquid, syempre, kadalasan ang meron lang tayo yun, amount ng feed, magsa-solids balance tayo. Itong solids balance, kinakailangan natin para makuha natin si L, si capital letter L. Kasi meron naman tayo ditong concentration ng feed at concentration ng liquid natin. For example, from 10% to 20% yung in-increase na concentration natin. So ang XF natin is 0.1, si XL natin is 0.2. And then may amount tayo ng F, makukuha natin si L. And then for the heat balance, yan. Itong heat balance natin, dito napapasok yung mga enthalpy values na kinompute natin o hinanap natin earlier sa preliminary part ng ating problem solving. So mahalaga kasi itong sina enthalpy na ito para makuha natin yung heat balance na meron sa evaporator. And as you can see here, meron tayong F, capital F, times H sub F, which is just simply the mass flow rate of our feed times the enthalpy of our feed plus the mass flow rate of our steam times the latent heat of the steam. Itong lambda sa tabi ng S natin, that accounts for the heat, that accounts for the enthalpy of our saturated steam and the enthalpy of our condensed steam or yung liquid natin after condensing. So makikita nyo dito, lambda is equals to capital H sub S minus small letter h sub S. We just have to get the difference between the two enthalpies of our steam, makakakuha po tayo ng latent heat natin. And that is equal to capital letter L, which is the mass flow rate of our liquid, times the enthalpy of our liquid, plus the mass flow rate of our vapor, times the enthalpy of our vapor. So mag-i-interpolate ulit po tayo dito. Maraming interpolation po ito kasi puro enthalpy naman po ang kinukuha natin. Now, dito, yung heat transfer rate natin, sabi natin kanina, the formula to be used there is Q is equals to U A delta T. Or sometimes, or kadalasan din, ang ginagawa natin dito, para mahanap natin si Q, that is just simply equal to S times lambda. So itong heat balance na nasa taas na ito, kadalasan ginagamit natin siya para makuha natin si value ng S. Yun po minsan ang kadalasan nangyayari dyan. And once na nakuha natin ng value ng S, i-multiply lang natin siya sa lambda na meron tayo, makukuha na natin si Q. Pag nakuha na natin si Q, pwede na natin gamitin itong formula na Q is equals to UA delta T para either makuha si U or makuha naman si area. Kasi mahalaga po ang area sa ating evaporator kasi that property or that quantity of our evaporator pertains to how big or how small will our evaporator will be. So kaya po mahalaga, or rather, ang kadalasang hinahanap dito ay si area din ng evaporator, yung heat transfer area ng evaporator natin. And then lastly, sometimes pinapakompute si steam economy. Para makuha si steam economy, that is just simply the vapor divided by the steam. So we are just getting the amount, or rather we are getting the fraction of, or the ratio of the vapor na makukuha natin after the evaporation process. So itong 5 equation na ito yung kadalasan na gagamitin natin kapag nagsosolve tayo ng evaporator na problem solving. Yeah. So ito naman, sa part na ito, some of the assumptions na pwede nating gamitin kapag nagsosolve tayo ng evaporator problems. It can be demonstrated as an approximation that the latent heat of evaporation of 1 kilogram mass of the water from an aqueous solution can be obtained from the steam tables rather than the equilibrium temperature for pure water at P/1. So basically, ang sinasabi lang nito guys is para makuha natin ng latent heat na meron tayo, kinakailangan nating alam natin yung temperature 1 or yung boiling point temperature natin. Kasi doon tayo magbe-base ng ating tawag dyan, magbe-base ng mga enthalpies ng feed, liquid, etc. Now, if the heat capacities of the liquid feed and of the product, which is CCPF at saka CCPL, we can use them to calculate the enthalpies. Na minsan, yun nga, pagka hindi given itong specific or itong heat capacities na ito, magbe-base tayo sa charts ng papakita ko sa inyo after nitong slide na ito ata. If I'm not mistaken. So, baka maduling ulit. Kaya na nangyari sa heat exchanger. Basta yun, i-guide ko naman kayo pagka na-problem solving tayo para alam niyo paano kuhanin yung mga properties na iyon, yung mga variables na iyon, yung mga na-discuss ko kanina. Yung yung enthalpy. Diba? So, ito isang problem na isosolve natin sa evaporator. Yan. Boiling point rise. Napag-usapan natin itong concept ng boiling point rise. Now, in the majority of cases in evaporation, the solutions are not such dilute solutions. And in most cases, the thermal properties of the solution being evaporated may differ considerably from those of water. Now, gaya ng sabi ko sa inyo kanina, may mga examples tayo, kagaya nitong unang example natin, na ihahalin tulad natin ng feed natin at ang liquid at ang concentrated liquid natin sa water na properties. Therefore, if ihahalin tulad natin sa properties ng water, ang ating liquid at ang ating feed, makukuha natin ang kanilang enthalpies based on the temperature of our feed and based on the temperature of our liquid. Which is madali lang siya. Kasi nga, alam naman natin ang properties ng water. Ang kanyang heat capacity is simply 4.184. Diba? Pero may mga solutions tayo na, yun nga, hindi naman natin pwedeng i-consider siya na ang properties ng solution na yun ikaparehas ng water. Kasi nga, hindi na siya very dilute solution. Kasi kita nyo, itong unang problem natin, 1% lang, papuntang 1.5 weight percent. So basically, 99% ay water or 98.5% dun ay water. Kaya pwede natin siyang ihalin tulad or igaya sa property ng water natin. Now, kapag nga hindi siya kaparehas ng property ng water natin, gagamit tayo nitong BPR to determine the exact boiling point of our evaporator, of our solution, evaporating solution. Kasi, yun nga, kung water siya, kung ihalin tulad natin siya sa properties ng water, ang boiling point ng ating solution sa T1 ay equal sa 100 degrees Celsius. So, paano ba natin makukuha yung boiling point rise or yung BPR na tinatawag para makuha natin ang boiling point temperature? So, for strong solutions of dissolved solutes, the boiling point rise due to the solutes in the solution usually cannot be predicted. However, a useful empirical law known as the During's rule can be used. Na itong During's rule na ito is given to you by this graph. Yan. So, dito, itong During line na ito is only available are applicable for sodium hydroxide. But sa PES ninyo, if I'm not mistaken, sa chapter 11, there is a boiling point BPR rise chart doon for various salts. Itong pinapresent ko sa inyo sa slide na ito is specifically for sodium hydroxide lamang. So if I were you, have a copy of this During line, search nyo lang sa internet, During line for sodium hydroxide para pagka nag-solve tayo tomorrow, mas madali po ninyong mapo-point out yung mga values na kailangan natin dito. So yung makikita nyong line dyan, that pertains to the different percentages of sodium hydroxide present in our solution. So saka ko na i-discuss kung paano yung gamitin. Just to know that ginagamit itong during lines na ito to get the boiling point of our solution kapag ang solution natin ay nagko-contain ng sodium hydroxide. Now, another thing, or another concept that you need to know is ang tinatawag na enthalpy concentration charts of solutions. Itong enthalpy concentration charts of solutions ay ginagamit if we wanted to find the enthalpy of our feed and the enthalpy of our liquid or our concentrated liquid. Sabi dito, if heat of solution of the aqueous solution being concentrated and the evaporator is large, neglecting it could cause errors in the heat balances. Yun nga, kung ika-cancel lang natin yung HL at HF, it will result to erroneous calculations or erroneous results. So to get the enthalpies of the feed and liquid, we use enthalpy concentration charts of solutions such as what is shown in the next slide. So to show you what is an enthalpy concentration chart, this is for a system of sodium hydroxide and water. So kapag ang solution natin has the components of sodium hydroxide and water, ito yung ginagamit nating chart to get the enthalpies of the specific weight fraction na meron tayo sa sodium hydroxide. This is also available sa Paris ninyo. Chapter 2, punta kayo sa thermodynamic property ng sodium hydroxide. Makikita ninyo itong enthalpy concentration chart for NaOH. If I'm not mistaken, madaming gantong chart sa Paris ninyo for the different thermodynamic property of compounds present in your Paris. So, katabi nyo ka mga peri nyo. Kung katabi nyo peri nyo, jadi buklat-buklat ninyo. Kamustahin nyo naman. Baka namimiss na kayo ng Paris ninyo. Ayun. Ayan. Problem na tong sunod. Using During chart for BPR at evaporation of NaOH solution using boiling point rise. So itong problem na itong During chart for BPR, tuturuan ko kayo paano gumamit ng During chart, tsaka nung BPR na nasa pere ninyo, which is, hindi naman siya mahirap. Nakakalito lang. Nakakalito lang siya. Kagaya ng heat exchanger. But still, doable naman siya kung gagawin natin. Ito namang evaporation of NaOH solution, ito naman ay kung paano natin gagamitin yung BPR, yung boiling point rise na concept, and in solving evaporators. Ano po? So, if I'm not mistaken, dito na nagtatapos ang discussion natin. Kasi hindi ko naman madi-discuss ang problem sa inyo kasi sobrang haba din ito. Kailangan ng face-to-face na problem solving nitong evaporators. But sana naintindihan niyo yung concept ng evaporators at itong mga properties yan. Ito na dito sa slide na ito. Ito mga TF, XF, HF, T1, TS, HF. Kasi yan yung ma-encounter natin when we are solving for the heat transfer rate, the area of evaporator kapag discuss tayo tomorrow. So do you have questions ba?